The air in the studio hangs thick with the sharp bite of turpentine and the warm, nutty scent of linseed oil. Dust motes drift slowly through shafts of afternoon light that cut across the blue walls, settling on the wooden floorboards with a soft, almost silent weight. Outside the open window, the Mediterranean wind moves through the olive trees. Their silver leaves, whispering against one another in a language older than any words I ever spoke. The cicadas hum a low, steady drone that seems to vibrate through the soles of my bare feet. A rhythm that has marked the passing of hours for as long as I can remember. I stand here watching the light change. Poor death. Nor yet feeling the coolness of the plaster against my back. Waiting for the figure to step into this quiet space. The world feels suspended in this golden hour, where time loses its sharp edges and becomes something soft and malleable. There is no urgency in no way the shadows lengthen across the tiles, stretching out like dark fingers, reaching for the door. A small ceramic vase sits on the low table, holding a single marigold that has lost its bright orange hue and now leans toward the light with a quiet, weary grace. The smell of dried herbs mixes with the faint aroma of old paper from the stack of letters on the desk, creating a perfume that belongs only to this room. The heavy velvet curtains filter the sun into a deep amber glow that warms the worn wood of the floor. Shadows stretch and shift imperceptibly as clouds move across the sky, changing the texture of the light without disturbing the silence. A small mirror on the wall catches the dimming rays, reflecting the stillness of the space back upon itself. The gentle creak of the floorboards under a shifting weight adds a subtle rhythm to the quiet, a reminder that someone has walked these halls before. Outside, the distant sound of a bicycle bell rings out, followed by the soft rustle of palm fronds in the breeze. The room holds the weight of memories, yet feels peaceful and undisturbed by the chaos of the world beyond. The marigold in the vase seems to rest, merely stepping out for a brief respite from the heat of the day. The atmosphere is thick with a serene history, offering a place of rest for the weary mind. I remember the first time I saw the light in this valley, how it washed over the cacti and turned the dust into gold. The pain that would later define my days had not yet arrived, leaving only the sharp clarity of youth and the promise of a life lived fully. I walked through the garden then, my legs strong and steady, feeling the earth beneath my feet, with a certainty that would fade with time. The bus accident that would break my body was a future event, a shadow waiting to fall across my path. For now, there is only the light and the sound of the wind moving through the trees. I watched her enter the room, her presence filling the space with a quiet intensity that needed no words. She moved with a deliberate slowness, aware of the weight she carried in her body and in her spirit. The first woman in Mexico to undergo psychoanalysis during a period of intense personal crisis, walked into this room with a grace that defied the pain she endured. Her daily existence often revolved around managing chronic pain that stemmed from a severe bus accident in her youth. Yet she found a way to turn that suffering into something beautiful. The floorboards creaked softly under the weight of memory, inviting a slow and meditative exploration of her world. Sunlight warmed the tiled floor, creating a mosaic of light and shadow that shifted imperceptibly with the movement of the clouds. The scent of dried marigolds and old paper lingered in the air, creating a sense of timeless peace. Outside, the garden remained silent, with cacti standing tall against the pale sky, undisturbed by the passage of time. The heavy wooden door to the studio stood slightly ajar, revealing a glimpse of the easel where she once worked. Colors of ochre, crimson, and deep green seemed to hum with a quiet energy that had not faded with the years. The room felt suspended in a moment of calm, as if the artist had merely stepped out for a brief respite. The floorboards nor yet cant softly under the weight of memory, inviting a slow and meditative exploration of her world. Sunlight warmed the tiled floor, creating a mosaic of light and shadow that shifted imperceptibly with the movement of the clouds. The atmosphere was thick with a serene history, offering a place of rest for the weary mind. I was born in Coyoacan, in the house that would later be known as the Blue House, on the 6th of July, 1907. Though the official records state 1910, I chose 1907 to align my birth with the Mexican Revolution, a year of fire and change. My father, Guillermo, was a man of German descent who loved photography and the land. while my mother, Matilde, was of Spanish and indigenous heritage, a woman of deep faith and quiet strength. I was the third daughter, though my older sisters were often overshadowed by the tragedy that struck our family early. When I was 6 years old, polio struck. It was a cruel visitor that left my right leg thinner than the left, a permanent reminder of the fragility of the body. I was called Peg Leg Frida by the children of the neighborhood, a name that stung more than the fever. But I refused to be defined by the limp. I ran, I played, I swam, and I forced my weak muscle to strengthen through sheer will. The summer heat pressed down on the cobblestones as I walked with a rhythm that tried to hide the uneven stride. My father watched me with his camera, capturing the moment the light caught the dust on my shoe. He saw the resilience in my eyes long before the world noticed the scar on my leg. The blue walls of our home stood as a sanctuary against the noise of the outside world, a constant presence that held me when my body felt like it was breaking apart. The house smelled of wet earth after a sudden rain, of dried marigolds hanging from the rafters, and of the oil paint my father used in his dark room. I remember the cool touch of the stone floor beneath my bare feet, a sensation that grounded me when the fever made the room spin. Death. My father taught me to see the world through the lens, to find the beauty in the broken things. He showed me how light could soften the harsh edges of a cracked wall or a withered leaf. This early lesson in observation became the foundation of my life, a way to transform pain into something visible and tangible. I spent long hours watching the dust motes dance in the shafts of afternoon light, tracing their slow, drifting paths until my eyes grew heavy. The silence of the garden was filled with the chirping of crickets and the distant rumble of a cart on the street. I felt a deep connection to this place, a sense of belonging that the illness could not steal away. My mother prayed for my health, while my father worked to document my recovery, creating a visual record of my struggle and my survival. As I grew older, the isolation of the countryside began to feel like a cage. The rural Mexico of my childhood was a place of melancholic beauty, but it lacked the energy I craved. I saw the capital city as a place for exciting intellectual exchange and growth. a place where I could be more than just the girl with the limp. My father encouraged my education, supporting my dream of becoming a doctor. I enrolled at the prestigious Escuela National Preparatoria, one of only a few female students admitted to this elite institution at that time. The classrooms were filled with the scent of old books and chalk dust, and the sound of young voices debating the future of our nation. I walked with a steady pace, my head held high, refusing to let the uneven stride slow me down. I studied anatomy and biology, fascinated by the intricate machinery of the human body. I wanted to heal, to understand the mysteries of life and death, to fix what was broken. The dream was clear in my mind, a path that seemed so certain and so close. I traveled with my friend Alejandro Gomez Arias on a bus heading toward Coyoacán after a day of classes. The afternoon sun was warm on my face, and the air smelled of exhaust and roasting corn from the street vendors. We sat down on a wooden bench, the wood rough under my palms, and talked about our plans for the evening. Minutes later, the bus turned a corner and slammed into an electric trolley car. The streetcar crushed the bus against the street corner in a collision that seemed strange and slow to me. I described the event as not violent, but dull and slow, despite the severe injuries it caused. It was as if time had stretched, making the impact feel distant and unreal. I was 18 years old when I boarded the bus that collided with the electric trolley car on September 17, 1925. The metal handrail tore through my body, piercing my hip and shattering my pelvis. My spine was broken, and the dream of medicine ended in that single, crushing moment. The pain was a white, hot fire that consumed everything. But it was the slowness of the event that stayed in my mind. The accident forced me to remain bedridden for months, while my body attempted to heal from the damage. During this confinement, I began to paint using a special easel designed for me to work while lying down. My father had rigged a mirror above the bed, so I could see my own face as I mixed the colors. The first self-portrait I painted was a reflection of my isolation, a way to fill the silence of the room with color and form. I used the skills my father had taught me to document my own suffering and identity with unflinching honesty. The blue house in Coyoacán remained the backdrop for my childhood and my later artistic development. It was a place where I could retreat from the world and focus on my inner life. The walls of this home were filled with the colors and artifacts that would inspire my art. I drew upon the nature and artifacts of Mexico to create my unique visual language. My self-portraits became a way to explore my identity and my physical condition. The accident transformed me from a student of medicine into a student of my own soul. I learned to observe the world with a new depth, finding meaning in the broken places. The air in the room was thick with the smell of turpentine and the faint scent of dried herbs hanging from the ceiling beams. A small wooden easel stood near the window, holding a canvas that captured a moment of stillness. Fresh flowers sat in a ceramic vase, their colors bright against the muted tones of the room. Shadows lengthened across the floor as the sun moved slowly toward the horizon. My bed, draped in colorful textiles, rested near the corner where I often worked while lying down. The silence of the space felt heavy, yet comforting, wrapping around the room like a soft blanket. I remember the texture of the brush against the canvas, the way the paint felt thick and alive under my fingers. The light filtered through the heavy curtains, casting long, soft shapes on the blue walls. Dust motes danced slowly in the golden beams. It illuminated the vibrant blue walls. A single drop of paint fell from the brush, landing on the floor with a soft, wet sound. The room was a sanctuary, a place where the pain could be held and examined without judgment. The human body contains approximately 37 trillion cells, a number so vast it defies the mind. Yet each one played a part in my survival. I felt the weight of this truth in every breath, in every ache that pulsed through my bones. The accident had shattered my pelvis, but the street corner in Mexico City held a stillness that felt unnatural, a pause before the world fractured. I was 18 years old, a student of medicine, with a mind full of diagrams and a body that seemed unbreakable. The bus was crowded, a metal shell filled with the heat of bodies and the smell of stale tobacco. We moved slowly through the afternoon, the engine humming a low, steady note that matched the rhythm of my own breathing. Then the trolley car appeared, a massive electric beast that did not stop. The collision seemed strange and slow to me, a dream unfolding in real time. It was not violent in the way stories describe violence. There was no sudden snap or explosive roar, only a dull, grinding pressure that pushed the world sideways. The bus buckled like wet paper, the metal groaning as it surrendered to the force of the impact. I remember the sensation of weightlessness, a moment where gravity lost its hold before the floor rushed up to meet me. A metal handrail, twisted and sharp, drove into my body with a terrible, intimate precision. It entered through my hip and pierced my pelvis, shattering bone and flesh in a single, silent motion. The pain did not arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, a cold tide rising from the wreckage, filling the spaces where my spine used to be whole. I lay amidst the broken glass and the twisted steel, watching the dust motes dance in the shafts of light that pierced the shattered windows. The air smelled of burnt rubber and wet earth, a sharp, acrid scent that would stay with me forever. My body was no longer my own. It was a map of fractures, a landscape of ruin that I could not navigate. The doctors who arrived were strangers in white coats. White coats. Their voices distant and muffled, as if they were speaking from underwater. They spoke of broken spinal columns and shattered pelvises, words that felt like foreign languages. I understood only the weight of the metal bar that pinned me to the floor, a cold anchor that held me in place while the world spun around me. The accident ended the dream of becoming a doctor before it could truly begin. The body I had studied, the one I had hoped to heal, was now the thing that needed saving. Months passed in a blur of white sheets and sterile walls, a confinement that felt like a lifetime. I lay in a bed that felt too small, my body wrapped in layers of plaster and bandages that restricted every breath. The pain was a constant companion, a sharp, grinding presence that never slept. It moved through my bones, settling in the places where the metal had torn through flesh. I watched the ceiling, tracing the cracks in the plaster, counting the hours as they dragged by like slow, heavy stones. My father, a man who understood the power of the image, brought me a special easel. It was a simple wooden frame that could be adjusted to lie flat over my lap, allowing me to work while I could not sit. He also brought a mirror, hanging it above the bed, so I could see my own face. This became my new world, a small circle of reflection, where I could observe the damage and the survivor. I began to paint, not to escape the pain, but to document it. The brush became an extension of my hand, a tool to translate the internal reality into something visible. I used the colors of my home, the deep blues and vibrant greens of the garden outside, to contrast with the gray and white of my broken body. The self-portraits became a way to understand the stranger I had become, a figure who was both whole and fractured at the same time. I learned to look at myself with the same detachment my father used in his photographs, a clinical eye that saw the truth without flinching. The blue house in Coyoacan remained the backdrop for this new chapter, a sanctuary where I could retreat from the world and focus on the inner life. The walls of this home were filled with the artifacts of Mexico, the pre-Columbian statues, and the bright textiles that inspired my work. I drew upon the nature and the culture to create a visual language that spoke of survival and resilience. The accident had transformed me from a student of medicine into a student of my own soul. I learned to observe the body not as a machine to be fixed, but as a vessel for experience, for pain, and for art. The memory of that September day in 1925 became a central theme in my work. A recurring image of the crash that defined my existence. The wooden bench and the trolley car were no longer just objects. They were symbols of my fragility and my survival. I remembered the dull sound of the crash and the slow motion of the impact. Details that fueled my creativity and gave my work a profound sense of authenticity. The transition from the hope of a medical career to the reality of a life defined by pain was abrupt and permanent. It changed the trajectory of my existence forever, redirecting my energy toward a new and powerful purpose. I carried the memory of that day throughout my entire life. A silent companion that walked beside me through every hospital room and every studio. A small wooden easel stood in the corner of the room, its surface worn smooth by years of use and the friction of brushes. The wood was dark, stained by the oils of my hands and the pigments of 1,000 paintings. Beside it, a ceramic vase held a bouquet of fresh flowers. their colors bright and defiant against the muted tones of the room. The light from the window fell across the floor in a slow, shifting pattern, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. The scent of turpentine and dried herbs hung heavy in the silence. A familiar perfume that signaled the start of work. Shadows lengthened across the floor as the sun moved toward the horizon, casting long, thin lines that seemed to measure the passage of time. The bed, draped in colorful textiles, rested near the corner where I often worked while lying down. A sanctuary of soft fabrics and quiet light. The silence of the space felt heavy yet comforting, wrapping around the room like a soft blanket that held the world at bay. Years passed, and the pain became a constant companion, a shadow that followed me through every room and every dream. Medical interventions offered only temporary relief, leaving me to endure numerous failed spinal surgeries that promised healing, but delivered only more damage. One specific operation in 1946 attempted to fuse 4 vertebrae using a metal rod and bone taken from my own pelvis. A brutal procedure that left me with a body that felt even more alien. Despite these invasive procedures, the constant pain, depression, and paranoia persisted. A dark cloud that refused to lift. My reliance on alcohol and prescription painkillers grew as I sought a temporary escape from the unending agony that consumed my days. The artist eventually required a limb amputation as her condition deteriorated further. In her final years, a final surrender to the failing body. Even amidst such devastation, a desire to remain alive persisted as long as I could continue to paint. The studio became a sanctuary where I transformed my physical reality into powerful visual narratives, finding meaning in the act of creation. The quiet light of the afternoon filtered through the heavy curtains of the bedroom studio in Coyoacán, casting a golden glow on the vibrant blue walls. A small wooden easel stood near the window, holding a canvas that captured a moment of stillness. A frozen image of a life in motion. Fresh flowers sat in a ceramic vase, their colors bright against the muted tones of the room. A reminder of the life that continued to grow. The air smelled faintly of turpentine and dried herbs that hung from the ceiling beams. A scent that grounded me in the present moment. Shadows lengthened across the floor as the sun moved slowly toward the horizon, marking the end of another day. My bed, draped in colorful textiles, rested near the corner where I often worked while lying down, a place of rest and creation. The silence of the space felt heavy yet comforting, wrapping around the room like a soft blanket. My personal beliefs were deeply intertwined with my Mexican heritage and political convictions, a connection that shaped my identity. I identified strongly with indigenous culture and often wore traditional Tijuana clothing to express this connection, a way of honoring the roots that held me. My image became synonymous with Mexican identity, particularly during rising international relations between Mexico and the United States in the years that followed. The documented cause of death was a pulmonary embolism, described as a blood clot in the lungs, a final failure of the body that had fought so hard. I died on July 13, 1954, in my home at Coyoacán, Mexico, at the age of 47, leaving behind a legacy that would outlast the pain. Some historians have questioned the official explanation, since no autopsy was performed on my body after I passed away, suggesting alternative theories that remain unproven. At the time of my death, I was known primarily as the wife of the famous muralist Diego Rivera, a name that often overshadowed my own work. My popularity as a cultural icon did not emerge until the women's movement of the 1970s. Long after my passing, when the world finally began to see the truth of my art, the quiet rooms of my home in Coyoacán held the echoes of a life lived fully, despite the pain, a testament to the power of the human spirit to create beauty from suffering. The bed became the world, a small island of white linen and iron rails where the days stretched out like long, slow rivers. I could not rise to walk the garden paths or feel the cool stone of the courtyard under my feet. So I brought the world to me. An easel was positioned just above the mattress, its wooden legs sturdy and reliable, holding a canvas that waited for my hand. A mirror was attached to the canopy, its silver surface reflecting my face, my hair, my pain, and my life. I looked into that glass for hours, watching the light shift across my features as the afternoon sun moved from one side of the room to the other. It was a lonely vigil, yet it was never empty. for I knew myself better than anyone else could. The mirror became my most faithful companion, a silent witness to the years of convalescence and the slow, arduous work of healing. I painted what I saw, the lines of my own body, the expression in my own eyes. Can't kill me, because I had no one else to observe me so closely. The colors I chose were not soft or muted, but vibrant and shouting, recalling the bright tiles of the markets and the deep greens of the cactus gardens. I used bold outlines that rejected the illusion of depth, flattening the space so that everything felt immediate and real, like a memory pressed into a book. This was the language of the people, the folk art of Mexico that spoke of life and death with equal clarity. I dressed in the traditional Tijuana garments, the long skirts, and the intricate embroidery, to assert my connection to the land and its history. The fabric rustled against the sheets, a soft sound that grounded me in the moment. I wore the heavy jewelry, the necklaces of gold and silver, the flowers woven into my hair, creating a self that was both personal and part of a larger cultural tapestry. In these images, I was not just a woman in pain, but a figure of strength and resilience, rooted in the soil of my heritage. The quiet stillness of a small, sunlit room in Coyoacan held the atmosphere of my creative process. Dust motes danced slowly in the shafts of afternoon light that filtered through the heavy velvet curtains. A wooden easel stood near the window, its surface worn smooth by years of frequent use and careful handling. Paints in small glass jars sat arranged in a neat row on a nearby table, their colors muted by the passage of time. A single brush lay across a palette, its bristles stiff with dried pigment from a session that had ended hours ago. The air smelled faintly of turpentine and the earthy scent of dried clay. Pots placed around the floor. Outside, the garden was silent, save for the distant rhythmic chirping of crickets in the tall grass. The room felt suspended in a moment of peaceful contemplation, untouched by the chaos of the world beyond the walls. My artistic path had been forged in fire and metal. A sudden turn in the road that changed everything. I had studied science and medicine, preparing for a life of healing. But the bus accident shattered those plans and left me broken. The physical trauma forced me to abandon the initial career path and turn inward, toward the canvas. I began to paint with a quiet intensity that defined my later output. Around 1927, I created an unfinished painting that was later known as Pancho Villa and Adelita, though it was not fundamentally about the revolution, but rather reflected my personal observations of the world. I also painted a portrait of my close friend and fellow cachucha, the poet Miguel N. Lira, capturing our deep intellectual bond in oil and canvas. These initial efforts established a foundation for my unique visual language and emotional depth. My occupation as a painter became the central focus of my life and identity, a way to make sense of the chaos. The marriage to Diego Rivera was an emotional roller coaster that fueled my creativity and tested my spirit. We traveled to the United States during our marriage, where the noise and the smoke of the cities felt alien and overwhelming. In 1932, I painted Henry Ford Hospital, a deeply personal piece born of tragedy and loss. I delivered a dead male fetus on July 4th, 1932, at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. And the painting depicts that specific experience with unflinching honesty. This work stands as a powerful testament to my physical suffering and emotional loss. Originally titled The Lost Desire before its final name, the colors were red and dark. The bed, a boat floating in a sea of pain. The symbols of my body and my heart laid bare. I did not hide the blood or the sorrow, for to hide them would be to lie. And I had always valued the truth above all else. One of my notable works is The Love Embrace of the Universe. The Earth, Mexico, myself, Diego, and C. or Sullo. A complex composition that explores my relationship with Rivera and my connection to Mexican identity. In this painting, I am held by the earth, and Diego is held by me, a circle of love and protection. Protection that transcends the physical pain. The Two Fridas was created as a response to my 1939 divorce from Diego Rivera, showing two versions of myself sitting side by side, connected by a vein that pulses with blood. One is dressed in European clothes, the other in traditional Mexican attire, representing the split in my own soul. The painting, The Broken Column, was created in 1944 to express my ongoing physical agony, where my spine is replaced by a crumbling ionic column held together by a surgical brace. I depicted the nails piercing my skin, the tears streaming down my face, The landscape behind me cracked and dry. These works chronicled my pain, sorrow, and medical procedures with a rawness that few artists dared to attempt. Despite the acclaim and the growing recognition, I remained in the sanctuary of the Blue House, a place where I could retreat from the chaos of my relationships and find solace in my work. The silence was profound, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards or the distant call of a bird. It was a place of quiet reflection, where the complexities of love and loss could be transformed into visual expression. Beyond my marriage, I maintained significant ties with other figures in the art world and my own family. My family provided a foundational support system, even as my marriage to Rivera introduced periods of intense emotional strain. The interplay between my personal connections and my artistic output created a rich tapestry, thou kill me, of human experience that continues to resonate with audiences today. I navigated these relationships with a resilience that allowed me to transform pain into powerful visual narratives. The bougainvillea grew in wild profusion outside the window, its purple and pink blooms spilling over the walls in a cascade of color. The scent of damp earth and blooming flowers drifted through the open shutters on warm afternoons. A simple wooden chair sat near the window, its seat cushioned with a faded textile from a local market. On the table beside the chair lay a palette of paints and a few brushes with bristles worn soft. The light from the window fell across the floorboards, creating a patch of gold that shifted slowly with the sun. Outside, the sounds of the neighborhood were distant and muffled, creating a sense of peaceful isolation. The blue walls seemed to hold the quiet energy of the house and the memories of its inhabitants. A small mirror hung on the wall, reflecting the room and the artist as she worked on her canvas. The silence of the room was broken only by the scratch of the brush against the rough surface. This space became a sanctuary where pain could be transformed into something beautiful and meaningful. The colors on the palette were vibrant and alive, contrasting with the somber reality of my physical condition. I mixed reds and yellows and greens to create worlds where the pain could be seen and understood, where the body was not just a vessel of suffering, but a site of artistic inquiry. My artistic development continued to evolve as I gained recognition and traveled beyond my home country. I eventually held my first solo exhibition, which introduced my work to a wider international audience. This milestone marked a significant shift in my career, allowing me to share my unique vision with the broader art world. As a recognized Mexican painter, I became a central figure in the nation's cultural identity during the 20th century. My image became synonymous with Mexican identity, particularly during rising international relations between Mexico and the United States in the 1990s. Long after my physical form had faded, although I faced numerous health challenges, including a 1950 hospitalization for spinal complications, my relationships remained a constant source of strength and inspiration. The legacy of these key relationships endures as a testament to my enduring influence on the art world. I lived during a transformative era in Mexican history defined by political upheaval and cultural renaissance. I was recognized as a painter who captured the soul of my nation through vivid imagery. My life unfolded against the backdrop of the Mexican Revolution and the struggle for self-expression. The quiet legacy of my work continues to resonate with those who seek meaning in the face of adversity. My life and art remain a testament to the enduring power of the creative impulse. The mirror remained my primary subject and my most faithful companion during years of convalescence and recovery. It showed me the woman who was broken and the woman who was whole, the woman who was weak and the woman who was strong. I looked into its depths and saw the history of my body, the scars that mapped my journey, the lines that told the story of my survival. The technique involved the use of vibrant colors and precise details that recalled the aesthetic of Mexican folk art. I often employed a flat perspective and bold outlines that rejected the illusionistic depth of traditional academic painting. This approach aligned my work with the nationalist movement that sought to define a distinct Mexican cultural identity. I incorporated indigenous motifs and traditional dress into my self-representations to assert my connection to my heritage. The combination of these elements created a style that was both deeply personal and culturally resonant. The quiet stillness of the room held the atmosphere of my creative process. A space where the train wheels clicked a steady rhythm against the rails. A sound that marked the slow distance between home and the strange new world. I stepped onto the platform in New York with a heavy heart and a head full of memories, leaving the warm earth of Mexico behind. The air here tasted different, sharp with coal smoke and the metallic tang of a city that never slept. My husband walked beside me, his presence a familiar anchor in a sea of unfamiliar faces and languages. He spoke of murals and grand commissions, his voice filled with the excitement of a man who sees the world as a canvas waiting for his hand. I listened, but my thoughts drifted back to the blue walls of my childhood home, to the scent of bougainvillea, and the quiet stillness of the garden. The city was loud, a cacophony of horns and shouting voices that pressed against my ears like a physical weight. I felt small in this concrete canyon, a tiny figure in a world built for giants. The people moved with a hurried pace, their eyes fixed on some distant point, never stopping to look at the sky or the trees. I wore my traditional dress with pride, the bright embroidery a shield against the gray monotony of the street. The wool of my rebozo felt rough against my skin, a comforting texture that reminded me of the markets in Coyoacán. I walked through the galleries where my work was displayed, watching strangers pause before my paintings. They studied the faces I had painted, the tears and the thorns, trying to understand the woman behind the brushstrokes. Some nodded with recognition, while others looked away, unsettled by the raw honesty of the images. I did not speak much to them, for words often failed to capture the depth of what I felt. Instead, I let the silence between us speak, a quiet understanding that needed no translation. The isolation was a heavy coat I wore every day, a constant companion that followed me from the hotel room to the studio. I set up my easel in the corner of the room, the light from the window casting long shadows across the floor. The mirror became my only friend, reflecting a face that was both familiar and strange in this new light. I began to paint again, the colors flowing from my hand as if they had been waiting for this moment of stillness. The brush moved with a steady rhythm, capturing the essence of a woman caught between two worlds. I painted the monkeys, the roots, the broken columns, and the hearts that beat outside the chest. Each stroke was a memory, a fragment of a life that felt both distant and immediate. The pain in my body was a constant presence, a dull ache that never fully disappeared. But in the act of painting, it became something else. It became a part of the story, a thread woven into the fabric of the canvas. I looked at my reflection and saw the girl who had survived the bus crash, the woman who had walked through fire and come out the other side. The mirror showed me a face that had changed, marked by the years and the suffering, yet still full of life. I remembered the day the accident happened, the sound of the crash, the feeling of the world spinning out of control. The wooden bench and the trolley car were symbols of that day, forever etched into my mind. I had been a student of medicine then, dreaming of healing others. But the accident had turned me into a student of my own soul. I learned to observe myself with a detachment that was both painful and necessary. Like watching a stranger suffer, this early period set the stage for everything that followed. The emergence of an artist who would change the way the world saw pain and identity. The blue walls of my home in Coyoacan stood as a testament to my resilience. A place where I could retreat from the chaos of the world. I carried that blue with me, a splash of color in a gray world, a reminder of where I came from. The accident had not ended my life, but it had redirected it toward a new and powerful purpose. I found that in the act of painting myself, I could explore the depths of my own psyche without fear. The mirror was my primary subject, my most faithful companion during the long years of convalescence and recovery. My technique involved the use of vibrant colors and precise details that recalled the aesthetic of Mexican folk art. I often employed a flat perspective and bold outlines that rejected the illusionistic depth of traditional academic painting. This approach aligned my work with the nationalist movement that sought to define a distinct Mexican cultural identity. I incorporated indigenous motifs and traditional dress into my self-representations to assert my connection to my heritage. The combination of these elements created a style that was both deeply personal and culturally resonant. The quiet stillness of a small sunlit room in Coyoacan held the atmosphere of my creative process. Dust motes danced slowly in the shafts of afternoon light that filtered through the heavy velvet curtains. A wooden easel stood near the window, its surface worn smooth by years of frequent use and careful handling. Paints in small glass jars sat arranged in a neat row on a nearby table, their colors muted by the passage of time. A single brush lay across a palette, its bristles stiff with dried pigment from a session that had ended hours ago. The air smelled faintly of turpentine and the earthy scent of dried clay pots placed around the floor. Outside, the garden was silent, save for the distant, rhythmic chirping of crickets in the tall grass. The room felt suspended in a moment of peaceful contemplation, untouched by the chaos of the world beyond the walls. My artistic development continued to evolve as I gained recognition and traveled beyond my home country. I eventually held my first solo exhibition, which introduced my work to a wider international audience. This milestone marked a significant shift in my career, allowing me to share my unique vision with the broader art world. Despite the acclaim, I remained committed to my own reality and my personal narrative of suffering and survival. My paintings continued to serve as a testament to my resilience in the face of overwhelming physical challenges. The themes of pain and isolation that defined my early work persisted throughout my entire career. I maintained a consistent visual language that blended the personal with the political and the local with the universal. My legacy endures as a powerful example of how art can transform personal tragedy into universal truth. The study of my work reveals a complex interplay between my medical history and my creative output. Every brushstroke was an act of defiance against the limitations imposed by my body. My contributions to the history of art remain significant for their honesty and their profound emotional depths. Scholars continue to analyze my medical history and paintings to understand the full scope of my experience. The signs of chronic neuropathic pain are evident in the way I depicted my body and my surroundings. My work invites viewers to look closely at the human condition and the capacity for endurance. Through my art, I found a way to communicate the incommunicable aspects of my existence. The silence of my studio was filled with the quiet power of my creative spirit. My story remains a source of inspiration for artists and audiences around the world. The development of my style was a slow and deliberate process that spanned decades of dedicated practice. I never sought to conform to the expectations of the art world, but instead forged my own path. My paintings stand as enduring monuments to the human spirit and the power of self-expression. The quiet legacy of my work continues to resonate with those who seek meaning in the face of adversity. My life and art remain a testament to the enduring power of the creative impulse. I drew upon the nature and artifacts of Mexico to create my unique visual language. My self-portraits became a way to explore my identity and my physical condition. The accident transformed me from a student of medicine into a student of my own soul. I learned to observe myself with the same detachment my father used in his photographs. This early period set the stage for my emergence as a major figure in Mexican art. My life before the accident was filled with promise and the hope of a medical career. My life after the accident was filled with pain and the creation of enduring art. The transition was abrupt and permanent, changing the trajectory of my existence forever. I carried the memory of that September day in 1925 throughout my entire life. The wooden bench and the trolley car became symbols of my fragility and my survival. I remembered the dull sound of the crash and the slow motion of the impact. These memories fueled my creativity and gave my work a profound sense of authenticity. My early years in Coyoacán provided the foundation for my later success as an artist. The blue walls of my home stood as a testament to my enduring spirit and resilience. I remained connected to my roots even as I traveled to other places in my life. The accident did not end my life, but rather redirected it toward a new and powerful purpose. My story began in Coyoacán and continued through the pain and beauty of my art. The room where I first learned to paint was small and filled with the soft light of the afternoon sun. A wooden easel stood in the corner, its surface worn from years of use by the young artist. The walls were painted a deep cobalt blue that seemed to absorb the dust motes dancing in the air. A large window opened onto a garden where cacti and bougainvillea grew in wild. The world outside the blue walls began to shift, while I remained still within them. My husband's murals covered the great public buildings, drawing crowds that stretched down the dusty streets of Mexico City. People looked up at his giant figures and saw the history of our nation painted in bold, sweeping strokes. I stood beside him, often hidden in the shadow of his towering presence, holding my own small paintings with quiet hands. The critics spoke of his genius with loud voices, yet they barely glanced at the intimate scenes death had created in the quiet corners of my life. They called my work mere domestic curiosities, charming trifles for the parlor rather than serious art for the museum. For many years, I was known only as the wife of the great Diego, a footnote in his magnificent story. The silence in the gallery was heavier than the pain in my spine, a silence that felt like a wall built of stone. I walked through the rooms where my canvases hung, feeling the weight of eyes that did not truly see me. The air smelled of turpentine and old varnish, a scent that clung to the back of the throat. Sunlight filtered through the high windows, illuminating dust motes that danced in the stillness of the exhibition hall. People moved slowly around the frames, their footsteps echoing on the polished floor. They pointed at the bright colors and the strange symbols, whispering about the exotic nature of my homeland. No one spoke of the blood, the broken bones, or the surgeries that had shaped the images before them. They saw a woman in a Tijuana skirt and a crown of flowers, but they did not see the girl who had been crushed by a streetcar. The distance between the person I was and the image they perceived grew wider with every passing day. I drank tea from a chipped cup, watching the steam rise and vanish into the cool air of the gallery. The silence was not empty. It was filled with the unspoken stories of a life lived in constant negotiation with pain. My body was a map of fractures and fusions, yet the world saw only the vibrant colors of my dress. I remembered the long nights in the hospital bed, the cold metal of the braces, and the smell of antiseptic that never seemed to fade. Those memories were the true foundation of every brushstroke, every line of ink, every drop of red paint. The critics missed the depth because they looked only at the surface, at the pretty faces and the bright backgrounds. They did not understand that the beauty was born from the struggle, that the art was a way to breathe when the body refused to function. I watched them move away, their conversations drifting like smoke, leaving me alone with the ghosts of my own making. The fame was a strange thing, a loud noise that covered the quiet truth of my existence. It was a mask that fit too well, hiding the cracks in the porcelain. I felt the weight of it pressing down on my shoulders, heavier than the plaster casts I wore for months at a time. The world was changing, but the recognition of my own voice remained elusive. I waited for the moment when the veil would lift, when the eyes of the viewer would finally meet the eyes in the mirror. That moment seemed distant, like a star on the horizon that could never be reached. The house in Coyoacán stood as a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world could not penetrate the thick blue walls. Inside, the air was still, filled with the scent of blooming jasmine and the earthy smell of the garden. I sat by the window, watching the clouds move slowly across the sky, their shapes shifting with the wind. The light changed from gold to soft gray, marking the passage of another day in this quiet life. The monkeys chattered in the trees, their voices a reminder of the wildness that still existed outside the walls of civilization. I touched the rough texture of the window frame, feeling the grain of the wood under my fingertips. The silence here was different from the silence in the gallery. It was a companion, not an enemy. It allowed me to hear the rhythm of my own heart, steady and strong, despite the damage done to the rest of me. The paintings on the walls watched with silent eyes, their colors bright and defiant against the fading light. They were my children, my confessions, my only true friends in a world that often felt cold and indifferent. I thought of the future, wondering if anyone would ever understand the language I had spoken through paint and canvas. The years passed slowly, like water dripping from a faucet, one drop at a time. Each drop was a memory, a moment of pain, a flash of joy, a breath of air. The house held them all, preserving them in the stillness of the rooms. I felt the weight of the years settling into my bones, a heavy but familiar burden. The world moved on, but the blue house remained a constant, a place where time seemed to stand still. The dust motes danced in the beams of light, creating a slow, hypnotic rhythm that lulled the mind into a deep rest. Nor yet canst thou kill me. The scent of the garden drifted through the open window, mixing with the smell of drying paint and old paper. It was a smell of life, of growth, of things that continued to exist despite the odds. The monkeys slept in the branches, their bodies curled into soft, furry balls. The parrots were silent, their bright feathers a splash of color against the green leaves. Everything in the house was at peace, a quiet harmony that soothed the weary spirit. I closed my eyes and let the silence wrap around me, a warm blanket woven from memory and color. The pain in my back was a distant hum, a reminder of the past, but not the present. I was safe here, surrounded by the things I loved, the things I had made, the things that spoke my truth. The world could wait outside the door, with its noise, and its judgment, and its hurried pace. Inside, there was only the slow, steady rhythm of breathing, and the soft rustle of the leaves. The light faded completely, and the room was filled with the soft glow of the oil lamps. The shadows stretched long across the floor, dancing with the flickering flame. I felt a deep sense of calm, a knowledge that the work was done, that the story was told. The paintings would remain long after I was gone, speaking to those who came after. They would find meaning in the colors, in the lines, in the raw honesty of the images. The world would eventually see what I had seen, the beauty in the broken, the strength in the struggle. The fame would come, but it would be different from what I had known. It would be a recognition of the voice, not the shadow. It would be a celebration of the life, not the legend. I smiled in the darkness, feeling a sense of peace that had been rare in my days. The house breathed with me, a living thing that held the history of my soul. The silence was full now, filled with the echoes of laughter, the sound of paintbrushes on canvas, the whisper of the wind. It was a good silence, a silence that promised rest and renewal. The night deepened, and the stars appeared in the sky, bright and distant. They watched over the house, over the garden, over the woman who had lived a life of pain and beauty. I felt their presence, a gentle reminder that I was part of something larger than myself. The journey was almost over, but the story would continue. The art would speak. The colors would sing. The truth would be known. The world would wait, and I would rest. The floorboards creaked softly, a sound that had been part of my life for so long. It was a sound of memory, of time passing, of life continuing. I let it wash over me, a lullaby of the past. The air was cool and still, carrying the scent of the garden and the paint. I breathed in deeply, feeling the air fill my lungs. A simple act that felt like a gift. The pain was there, but it was not all there was. There was also the light, the color, the silence, the peace. I closed my eyes and let the darkness take me. A soft and welcoming embrace. The house held me. The art held me. The memory held me. I was home. The world outside could wait, for I had found my place in the quiet. The story was finished, but the feeling remained. The colors would last. The words would be read. The truth would be felt. I slept, and the house slept with me. In a shared silence that spanned the ages. The future was a blank canvas, waiting for the next hand to pick up the brush. But for now, there was only the rest, the quiet, the peace. The journey was done. The art remained. The silence was complete. The world turned slowly, unaware of the peace within the blue walls. The stars watched. The wind whispered. The house held its breath. The light in the room has changed from the sharp gold of morning to the soft amber glow of late afternoon. Dust motes drift through the air like tiny, suspended stars, moving with a slow and deliberate grace that matches the rhythm of my own breathing. My body feels heavy now, a vessel that has carried too much weight for too long, resting against the pillows that smell of lavender and old linen. The pain that once screamed so loudly has settled into a dull, rhythmic throb, a constant companion that I have learned to acknowledge without fear. I remember the years when the doctors tried to fix what was broken, cutting into my spine and fusing bones with metal rods and pieces of my own pelvis. They sought to make me whole again, to stitch together the fragments of a life shattered by a bus accident. But the metal only added another layer of weight to a body already burdened by gravity. One operation in 1946 attempted to fuse 4 vertebrae using a metal rod and bone taken from my pelvis. A procedure that promised relief, but delivered only more agony and a lingering sense of betrayal by my own flesh. The silence in the house is deep and comforting, wrapping around the corners of the room like a warm blanket woven from memory. Outside, the garden remains a riot of life, with cacti standing tall and bougainvillea spilling over the walls in bursts of purple and pink, indifferent to the suffering that has taken place within these blue walls. I watch the shadows lengthen across the floor, stretching out toward the window, where the light begins to fade, marking the passage of another day that has ended without a cure. My thoughts drift back to the surgeries, the long nights spent in hospital beds, the smell of antiseptic that clung to my skin for weeks after each attempt to mend the broken parts. I was the first woman in Mexico to undergo psychoanalysis during a period of intense personal crisis. Sitting in a room with a stranger who tried to map the landscape of my mind while my body screamed in protest. The analyst spoke of my dreams and my fears, of the men I loved and the pain I carried. But the words often felt like they were floating in a different language. Disconnected from the physical reality of my existence. The air smells faintly of dried herbs hanging from the ceiling beams, their scent mixing with the sharp tang of turpentine that still lingers in the studio. A small wooden easel stands near the window, its surface worn smooth by years of use, holding a canvas that captures a moment of stillness before the light disappears completely. Fresh flowers sit in a ceramic vase. Nor yet canst thou kill me, their colors bright against the muted tones of the room. A final attempt to bring life into a space defined by sickness and decay. My bed, draped in colorful textiles from Tehuantepec, rests near the corner where I often worked while lying down, the paints and brushes arranged within reach of my trembling hands. I painted because I had to, because the act of creation was the only thing that made the pain bearable. The only way to prove that I was still alive, despite the constant assault on my body. Even as the disease took my leg, leaving me with a phantom limb that ached more than the real one ever did. I refused to stop. No, I painted until my hands could no longer hold the brush, until the world outside the window became a blur of colors and shapes that no longer made sense. The legacy of my life would eventually grow far beyond the walls of this house in Coyoacan, spreading out to museums and galleries in cities I will never visit. Scholars will study my diaries and letters to gain insight into the inner world that I kept hidden behind a mask of bravado and pain. They will see a woman who turned her suffering into beauty, who transformed her isolation into a connection with strangers, who feel the same ache in their own bones. The historical record of my life offers a window into the heart of 20th century Mexico, revealing a woman who refused to be defined by the expectations of society or the limitations of her body. At the time of my death, I was known to many only as the wife of the great muralist Diego Rivera, a shadow to his towering figure, a domestic curiosity rather than a serious artist in my own right. The critical community viewed my intimate paintings as mere reflections of my personal tragedy, failing to see the profound visual language I had created to speak of the human condition. Few scholars examined the unique way I use color and symbol to map the landscape of my soul, or the way I turned my own image into a monument of resilience. The light has almost vanished now, leaving the room in a deep twilight where shapes become soft and indistinct. The marigold in the vase has lost its vibrant orange hue, its petals curling inward as if seeking the warmth of the dark. This quiet corner of the house remains a sanctuary, untouched by the passing of decades, where the silence is deep and the air is still. The gentle creak of the floorboards under a shifting weight adds a subtle rhythm to the stillness. A reminder that life continues, even when the body fails. The shadows lengthen across the walls, stretching out to meet the darkness that waits outside the window. A small mirror on the wall reflects the dimming light, capturing the quiet solitude of the space and the stillness that has settled over everything. The room holds the weight of memories, yet it feels peaceful and undisturbed by the chaos of the world beyond. The scent of old paper and dried herbs fills the air, creating a sense of stillness that seems to suspend time itself. Outside, the distant sound of a bicycle bell rings out, followed by the gentle rustle of palm fronds in the breeze. A sound that has not changed in all these years. My spirit has finally found the wings I wrote about in my diary long before my body gave up. soaring above the pain that once held me captive. The house remains a sanctuary of memory, where my presence can still be felt in the quiet corners and sunlit rooms, in the dust motes that dance in the light, and the shadows that stretch across the floor. The art I left behind serves as a testament to my enduring spirit and my unyielding will to create a record of a life lived fully despite the odds. The world lost a great artist on that summer day in 1954. But my voice continues to speak through my work, reaching out to those who seek solace in stories of resilience. The silence in the room is not an end, but a transition to a different kind of existence. One where the pain is gone and only the memory of the colors remains. The house in Coyoacan stands as a monument to my life and my enduring legacy in the world of art. A place where the blue walls still hold the light of the afternoon sun. The sun continues to rise and set over the garden where I once walked, where the cacti and flowers grow in wild profusion. Indifferent to the passage of time, I lie here in the quiet, feeling the weight of the cast on my leg. A familiar anchor to a life that is now coming to its close. The pain has receded into a distant hum, a sound that no longer demands my attention or my fear. I am safe within these walls, surrounded by the monkeys and the parrots, the pre-Columbian statues that watch with silent, stone eyes. The light filters through the windows, painting the blue walls in soft gradients of gold and shadow. A final reminder of the beauty that exists even in the darkest moments. There is no rush here, only the slow passage of time, the quiet turning of pages, and the gentle rise and fall of my own breath. I close my eyes and let the silence wrap around me. A warm blanket woven from memory and color, a final embrace that promises rest. The journey is over, the pain is gone, and the light has finally faded into a peaceful, eternal night. The dust settled slowly in the quiet rooms after the final curtain fell, leaving a silence that felt heavy with unspoken stories. My name was not the one that filled the galleries or the headlines in those early years. People looked past the small canvases on the easel to see the giant murals on the walls of public buildings. They saw me as a curiosity, a domestic footnote to a monumental life, rather than a voice speaking its own truth. The world moved on, turning its eyes toward new movements and brighter colors. While my work gathered a thin layer of time in the corners of the house. Nearly 2 decades passed in the cool streets of Coyoacan before the wind began to shift direction again. It was not a sudden storm, but a slow turning of the tide, driven by voices that had long been silenced. The women of the 70s found their way to the blue walls and saw a reflection of their own resilience in the painted ice. They did not look for perfection, but for the raw honesty of a body that had been broken and put back together. They saw the pain not as a weakness, but as a testament to survival, a radical act of self-expression in a world that demanded silence. The scholars of that era picked up the diaries and letters, reading the ink that documented the long nights of surgery and the constant ache in the spine. They read about the operation in 1946 where 4 vertebrae were fused, a procedure that left the body stiff and the mind weary. Months passed in a blur of painkillers and heavy drinking. Yet the hand never stopped moving across the canvas. The brush did not falter even when the body could barely hold the weight of the frame. This period of decline did not silence the art, but rather deepened its color and sharpened its edge. The paintings became more than images. They became a record of endurance, a map of the internal landscape where suffering and beauty coexisted. The museum that now stands in the Blue House preserves these artifacts for those who seek a tangible connection to the past. Visitors walk across the tiled floors, where the footsteps once, "Nor yet canst thou kill me," echoed with the rhythm of a life lived in motion. They touch the walls that held the weight of so many memories, feeling the presence of a spirit that refused to be extinguished. The space breathes with a history that is both personal and universal, offering a quiet place for the weary mind to rest. A single ceramic bowl sits on the wooden table, its glaze cracked in a network of fine lines that catch the afternoon light. The bowl holds a few dried flowers that have lost their scent, but kept their shape, a testament to the passage of time. The wood beneath it is worn, smooth by the touch of many hands, each one leaving a faint imprint of their own story. Dust motes dance in the beam of sunlight that cuts through the window, swirling in a slow, hypnotic pattern. The silence in the room is not empty, but full. filled with the echoes of laughter and the quiet sounds of creation. It is a place where the past and present meet, where the pain of the past is transformed into the beauty of the present. The bowl remains steady, a silent witness to the changes that have swept. Nor yet canst thou kill me through the world since the last brushstroke was laid. The focus of the art world shifted decisively away from the shadow of the husband to the independent voice of the wife. The narrative of the woman in the Tijuana dress became a symbol of Mexican identity and cultural pride. Her image appeared on merchandise and in films, spreading across the globe like a wildfire that could not be contained. This widespread recognition sometimes obscured the complex reality of the life behind the icon. Yet the core message remained clear. She stood as a witness to the struggles of her people, while maintaining a deeply personal vision that spoke to the universal human condition. The political and social movements of her time found expression in the bold colors and symbolic forms of the canvas. Scholars reevaluated her work through the lens of post-colonial theory and feminist critique, finding new layers of meaning in every stroke. The quiet strength displayed in the face of adversity resonated with audiences across generations, transcending the boundaries of time and place. Her legacy endures as a reminder of the importance of individual identity within a collective history. The visual language developed drew heavily from the Mexican folk tradition of retablo and votive painting, small devotional objects that depicted miracles or acts of gratitude, like the artisans who created these votive offerings. The art was used to express gratitude for survival and to document the miracles of endurance. Some critics initially categorized the work under the banner of surrealism due to the dreamlike imagery and symbolic density. Yet, the artist insisted that the imagery was not a product of the unconscious mind, but a direct reflection of the lived experience. This distinction was crucial to the understanding of the artistic identity and the rejection of European categorization. The duality of seeing rural Mexico as a place of melancholic isolation and the capital as a place for exciting intellectual exchange influenced the early development. Around 1927, the unfinished painting, erroneously known as Pancho Villa and Adelita, reflected the interest in national identity These early works demonstrated the growing confidence in capturing the human form and the complex social landscape of post-revolutionary Mexico. The studies at the Escuela National Preparatoria had been interrupted, yet the technique was refined through observation and practice. The accident had left the body bedridden for long periods, during which the easel was set up and the painting began with a special frame attached to the bed. The self-portraits were painted because the artist was often alone and knew herself best. This introspective focus allowed for the exploration of the depths of the soul. The influencing extends far beyond the borders of Mexico, touching artists and activists across the entire globe. The work challenged conventional beauty standards and celebrated the diversity of the human form in a revolutionary way. It remains a beacon for those who seek to express their identity without fear of judgment or rejection. The study of the life continues to yield new insights into the intersection of art, politics, and personal identity. The story reminds us